Okay, so I've pressed the recording button. So welcome. This is really exciting. It's the first live webinar of Simply the Best. So thank you so much to both of you for being here today, and thank you to those of you watching the playback as well. This is a very interactive session, so please ask questions, have comments along the way. And again, if you're watching the playback, please do comment in the Facebook post, and I will endeavour to get back to you as soon as I can. This recording will be in two parts to make it easier for you to watch as well, so do look out for both links and try and make sure you're watching this one first before the second one, or it's not going to make a lot of sense. But the purpose of these sessions really are, they're going to be once a week, so they will be hosted on Friday mornings at 9:30 and Tuesday evenings at 7:30 to give people two opportunities to join live or watch. And each week they are going to focus on a different topic that will support you through the programme for the next month. So the topics are going to be around. So today we're going to be talking about where we place our energies, where we focus our energies and where we can actually renew our energies. And then next week we're going to be talking about procrastination and action taking. And then on the third week we're going to be talking about something called kintsugi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know if either of you have heard of that. We're going to be talking about that. And then on the fourth week we're going to be talking about strengths and motivators. So it's going to weave into all parts of the programme as you get the emails and the different challenges to do. And then these are an opportunity for sort of some additional learning. On top of that, also the bonus is that once a week there is going to be a guest speaker coming into the group that will be doing a short 20-minute live in the group as well with some different topics. And we've got resilience, courage, pausing and connecting, and one more that I've forgotten right now. So there's going to be lots of different things for people to come in and get along the way. So do either of you have any questions before we start? Or
no, just excited to get going.
Cool. Okay, so a few little facts for you both this morning, and for those of you watching as well, around what they call the set point of happiness. I don't know if either of you have heard of that. So the idea of the set point of happiness is that there is a particular state that we return to in our lives when we're happy, when we're not happy, and there's a particular baseline. So no matter what happens in our lives, that event or that experience happens, and then we come back to our baseline of our mood, basically. So there is a famous formula by a positive psychologist called Sonja Lyubomirsky, which is called the 50-10-40 formula. So the idea is that 50% of our happiness is predetermined by our genes. Now there's lots of I suppose lots of people have contested this formula, but it's still the most famous formula that is still talked about time and time again. And if you listen to any positive psychologist talk or TEDx talks or anything like that, they will always refer to this formula. So 50% of our happiness is predetermined by genes. That is a huge chunk. The 10% is determined by the circumstances in which we live our life. So the experiences that we face in life, 10% of our happiness is based on that. And the other 40% of our happiness is determined by our actions and our behaviours, our optimism, and our responses to those situations that we face. So how we handle situations. So I talk a lot about the react and respond, you know, the flipping of the lid in the brain, the react or the respond. And 40% of that is what affects our happiness. So what they say is that big changes in our life only impact and influence us for up to 12 months. So even if it's a massive, massive deal in our life, it actually only truly affects us for up to 12 months. We will then come back to our baseline of what our happiness or our mood level actually is. So the big thing for me when I've done lots of research on this is it's all about how we react or respond to situations. It's all about how we place our energies, we start our days, we set our intentions that make a difference to how we behave, how we interact with others, how we connect, and how we choose what it is that we want to be and what we want to do. So this session really is about how do we make the most of that. You know, we've got that 40% to play with in terms of what happens to us, and how do we make sure that we are at our optimum level to be able to do that. I don't know if either of you have any thoughts on those statistics, whether that's a surprise to you. Louise, you look a little bit shocked.
It's just that 50% on genes is quite interesting. So yeah, and it makes you think about, you know, kind of parents and all that kind of good stuff. But it's interesting that actually you can still influence quite a considerable amount. So it's about, as you say, starting with that positive intent to influence. So yeah, interesting.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of talk as well about the fact that before we are 4, we learn so much from the people around us in terms of, again, how we behave and how we model our behaviour and respond and react to things. So again, depending on, you know, what your upbringing was like and who you were surrounded with, can again make a huge difference to that as well. And obviously we're all above 4, so we can't do anything about that now.
No.
But what we can do is look at how we influence moving forward and how we
Thank you.
How we change what we do. So for me, this session is about making sure we know how to pay attention to ourselves. Oh, someone wanting to come in. There we go. Claire's going back in. There we go. She's back in. So there's something about making sure we know how we're reacting or responding to things, making sure that we look at how we're facing situations and actually how we're serving our well-being as well, so that actually we actually have energy to be able to deal with those situations and have resilience as well. And Emma Roscoe is going to come in and talk a bit more about Emma's going to come in and talk about resilience later on in the programme, in the sense of, you know, why resilience is so important for us to make sure that we can do that. So I want to talk about how we manage our energies. You might want a piece of paper to do this bit. I probably should have said that at the beginning. I'm sorry, make Claire get up again. You know, energy to us is very different things, and all of us recharge and rejuvenate and chill out in different ways. So some people chilling out will be going on a walking holiday or zip wiring across a desert. To others, it will be sitting in a spa or reading a book, and that's fine. But again, what we tend to do is we compare ourselves to others. You know, I harp on a lot about comparison, but it's about finding what's right for you. So today is about looking at how you recharge your energies. Now, I've been researching into this in terms of energies, and different people talk about different types of energies that are out there. So there are 4 main types of energies within us. We've got our physical energies, our emotional energy, our mental and intellectual energy, and our spiritual energies. Now, on a daily basis, I'm not going to lie, I don't think, oh, how have I checked in with my spiritual energy today? But this is something I want to work on more this year, because I want to be more aware of how I'm placing my attention and placing my energy in different ways to make sure that I can be the best version of me, not trying to be like others, and be able to enjoy the experiences that I'm in. Because, say, how often do we eat a meal and can't remember how it tasted like, or go to an event and not really truly enjoy the experience because we've already pre-rehearsed it or we're already thinking about something else? So this is an opportunity for you to think about, how do you recharge your energies in each of these 4 areas to make sure that when you're using them, you're at your optimum level. So this is an opportunity for you to take a piece of paper and just to make it into 4 squares, and to put the titles of the 4 energies in the top, and for us to think about how you could recharge your energy in those different sections. When was the last time you thought about it? So the 4 titles again are physical, emotional, mental or intellectual, and spiritual. So I'm just going to give you a few moments to think about for yourself and to write down for yourself in each of those boxes, what do you do to recharge yourself in those different areas of your life? And then I'll share what I've got, because this is quite, when you just start thinking about, how do I do that? Just take a moment and say, I don't want to preempt you what you might already have. So just have a think for yourselves for a moment. And again, watching the playback, please join in and do this, and do share afterwards. But think about what, in terms of physical, what do I do to recharge my energy so that when I need to be physical and I need to get up and exert myself and go walking or go and do something or speak or whatever, then you feel that you've recharged yourself to be able. Just thinking of the physical's exhausting you already.
I've not long been
hard work, actually.
What was that? Sorry, Claire?
It's quite hard work trying to work out.
It is, absolutely.
And what I should do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I wanted to do it as an exercise on one of the live calls, because I think actually when you start talking to each other, you realise what else we actually do towards it, but we don't necessarily recognise that. So what I thought would be useful is, I'm very happy to share what I do, and it might spark some thoughts for you. And if any of you have anything additional, then you can add in. And again, if you're watching a playback, please jump in and join in on the comments, because this is the power of sharing, is that sometimes we take things for granted and we don't necessarily recognise whether it's working for us or it's sabotaging us, and that can be really useful when other people point that out. So for me, physical, it's all about fueling that ability for us to be able to move around, that physiology of our body, to be able to just, get up, have a shower, go to work, drive, take the dog out, all of those things that we just take for granted. Even just walking down the stairs, when you put your right foot in front of your left foot and stuff, we just automatically do it. We don't think about it. And sometimes it's not until we get, the plague or whatever, extreme, but that we realise what we take for granted on a daily basis. And so this is a really great opportunity to think about, okay, well, what is it that I actually do to recharge my body? Now, one of the most common phrases that I talk about is the fact about recharging your phone. The fact that every day we all recharge our phones because we want them to work at optimum level. And for me, if my battery goes below 40%, there is a mild panic inside my head as I try to look for the charger, because I want it to work at optimum level. I want it to be useful for me. But we don't do that for ourselves. We are not very good at recognising those signs of when we need recharging and we're not working at our optimum level. And for many of us, that doesn't happen until we hit, rock bottom, and we come down with germs, or we just feel so rubbish that we end up just having to, hide and lay down or whatever, or go source chocolate cake. So I think I've learned a lot about this in the last few years. I have a long-term condition that means I can, within 24 hours, be wiped out. And I'm not going to lie, I still resent it and it annoys me. But I've learned to embrace it much more, in a sense of, if I can notice the symptoms beforehand and I can manage myself and look after myself more, then I'm less likely to go into those situations where it can wipe me out for weeks. So it's about actually embracing my body, and it's about saying my body is an incredible thing and this is what it's capable of. And if I take care of it, then it will keep being able to do that. So the things that I have learned to do, and I do more of now, in terms of supporting my physical energy, is the first one is mindfulness for me. become really mindful. You know, Marley, my dog, teaches me a lot about what I call the spaniel perspective. You know, he's totally in the moment, and he's taught me so much about when I'm out walking with him and just actually appreciating the world around me rather than being on my phone and thinking about other things. So mindfulness for me really plays a massive part in my physical energy, because for me, even just to start with, I didn't appreciate the benefits of even just stopping for 1 or 2 minutes, because I was like, well, I'm so busy, I need to keep going, I need to keep doing things, and if I stop, I'll get distracted. But actually taking those 2 minutes out regularly really helps me. And I talk a lot, I've got it here, I talk a lot about, you know, mindfulness being a bit like snow globe, and that actually mindfulness allows those thoughts to settle in our heads. And there's a lot of research now that says even if we spend just 2 minutes a day in a mindful state, that can support our physical and mental well-being. So some really easy tips in terms of doing that. I don't drink tea or coffee, but Louisa's modelling it beautifully this morning. But I do have water, and they say that even if you just hold your tea or coffee cup, or in my case my water, just for 30 seconds, it's like a hug for yourself, and you can notice the warmth of the tea or coffee. You can smell the aroma that water drink.
I'm being good. So this isn't tea or coffee, it's hot lemon.
Ooh, check you
Mine's
out.
tea.
Check me.
Oh, yours too. Well, cheers, everyone. Cheers. But by doing it, you've got the aroma, you've got the steam, you've got the temperature. And what you're doing is you're just pausing for a moment. But what it does is it allows you to come back to your body and just notice what's going on. Do you feel tense? Are you sitting correctly at your desk? Are you, craning over? Are you, what's going on? Is there something on your mind? So those little nuggets just really provide that little check-in. So for me, mindfulness has played a big part. Even things like stopping at traffic lights in the car. If a traffic light is red, we get really frustrated because we want to be on the go all the time. But it's the universe's way of just saying, just take a moment. Are you okay? So it's about noticing those things around you. So for me, mindfulness has played a big part in my physical energy. The next one for me was connection. So again, connection with myself, connection with others, still helps my physical energy, because it's just that being able to connect. How am I feeling? Am I rushing around? Am I too busy to just hold a conversation for a minute, or if someone really needs my attention? My third one is sleep. I know that I need sleep, and again, I need to notice the signs of my body when it's telling me that perhaps I need a bit more sleep. The next one I've written down is diet, and I don't mean as in dieting, but diet as in what am I fueling my body with. So if I'm fueling my body with, a chocolate orange for breakfast, a donut for lunch, and I'm trying to think of something else really bad, a big cake for dinner, that is not my lifestyle before we start rumours. But I'm not fueling my body with what it needs as well. And especially for me, because I only drink water, if I don't drink it, I dehydrate really quickly because my body is so used to having it as well. The next one for me is nature. That's really important to me. I feel like I get a lot of energy back physically from just being with nature. So going out for walks with Marley. I don't like road walking with him. We like to be off lead, and he likes to be sniffing around. But again, that's really important for me. Exercise is another one. I've really discovered a love of yoga since summer last year. And even when I'm really tired and I've had a really, really long day and I'm starving and I've got a headache, I will still attempt to do 20 minutes of yoga. And I can't tell you how recharged I feel from just taking those 20 minutes to just do that. And I just feel really, really refreshed. I know people harp on about yoga, but I really get it now. Apart from when the dog's trying to clamber all over me because he wants to join in, which is quite hilarious. But I've really found that really actually boosts my energy. So there may be something else for you that really boosts your energy. And then the last one, which I mentioned, was water, is hydration for me, massively. So they were the main ones that I had in my physical category. I don't know if any of those resonate with you, or you had anything different, or...
I've added stopping and having a holiday.
Oh, yes. That's a good one. I like that. Because we just think we're just indestructible, don't we? We just keep going and going and going. That's a good one. I like that. Take a break. I'm going to add that to my list. Book myself a holiday. Thank
It's
you.
funny actually, because I've just signed up for yoga. So I start I start my introductory course next Thursday. So that was one of my New Year's things to do. So
Brilliant.
a friend of mine recommended. So I start that next week. And I know I'm in a better place when I swim. So I'm going to try and get back into the swimming this year. Because I'll be honest, I'm not doing a lot. Well, actually, no. Now you've talked about it, I probably am doing more than I think I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I know that actually, I feel a lot better if I've swum. Because even when I'm swimming, my mind's still going, but actually it's going at a different pace, so it's a lot more comfortable. But yeah, I need to get back in the pool. I spend enough time sat next to one with Littlin. I actually need to get back in it and swim. So it's finding the time to swim, because I can't swim when she's in the pool. So, but we'll get there.
And this is it. Sometimes we put blockers in the way, and think we can't do it because of this, we can't do it because of that. And actually, we all have the same amount of time as everyone else in the day. It's how we choose to place it and where we place that importance of it. That's great that you're starting yoga. I've been just using YouTube for the last 6 months, but I'm now feeling ready to actually go out and do yoga with another human. So I've signed up for a beginner's class, which starts in a couple of weeks, and I'm really looking forward to investing that time in myself, because one of the things that I've recognised recently, and I talked about in the hub recently, was that I do a lot for others, and I'm very happy to do that, but I've been very mindful that in the last few months I've not done anything for me. So this is my gift to myself, to make sure that I have that time for me. So that's really good. Cool. Okay, great. Anything else for you, Claire, in this box? Or?
No, I mean, I have started doing yoga. A friend of mine's training to be a yoga teacher, so she's offering free classes, which is amazing.
Excellent.
But yeah, I've got sleep, gym, eat properly, stop, and have a holiday. And holidays.
Brilliant. Okay. So let's move on to the next one then. So the next one is emotional, which obviously fuels our feelings and contributes to our state of being. And as we said, we know that although we have this baseline of the set of happiness, it's 40% that helps us come back to that state and react to situations. So this is a really important one to make sure that we recharge. So some of these were quite similar. So I had connection again, because again, for me, understanding how I'm feeling is really, really important. And the more I learn about this and I research about this, the more that we can understand what emotion we're in, and we can speak to it and we can acknowledge it, the more we can understand ourselves and how we're reacting or responding to situations, but also how emotionally we are responding to others as well. And we're recognizing the signs when we're in conversation. So there's a phrase called emotional intelligence, and it is all about, how we perceive by others, how do we interact with others as well. And that's really, really important. So for me, connection was the first one. Mindfulness again was the second one for me, because again, if I'm more mindful of how I'm behaving, I can be more mindful of how that is impacting on others. There's a great question that I've used a lot more recently is, what's it like to be on the receiving end of me? Because I think sometimes when we're in certain situations, we don't necessarily appreciate that, and it's the same in relationships as well, and friendships, and that is that sometimes we don't realize the impact we're having on others. So that's quite a good question to ask yourself, to think about, like, especially if you're in emotional turmoil, how am I behaving with others? How might that be impacting others as well? And I talk about energy vampires, that person at work that you can't talk to on a Monday till they've had at least 3 cups of coffee because they just suck the life out of you. The third one for me is friends. So friendships, family, again, having that connection with others. We are born for connection, as my good old mate Brené would say. And it's about making sure we have that, and we can be honest and open with other people and share things with people as well. Sleep again for me was important. I know I'll become more emotional and not so balanced with my thoughts if I'm really, really tired. We all say, don't we, oh, let's not talk about that now, I'm tired. So that's a general phrase a lot of us say. Hydration again for me. But the last one was music. So I am massively into music. For me, there is nothing better in the world than being at a live concert. It just absolutely energizes me. But again, it gives me that balance. It gives me that opportunity to reconnect with myself, and I find that listening to music really helps me sometimes with working out what emotion I'm with and what's going on for me in my head. And actually, what might be quite interesting for you to think about, and not necessarily share right now, or if you're watching the playback, is what's your favourite song at the moment, or what is the favourite lyric or title of a track that you really, really love, and what is that saying about your life right now? Because we do get drawn, although it's music, we do get drawn to certain things. I'm very happy to share. I really want to learn about space this year, and the stars, and all the songs I'm listening to at the moment are all about the galaxy. I've been listening. There's a song called Drops of Jupiter I can't stop listening to at the moment. There's another one about To the Moon and Back. It's just like everything I'm listening to seems to be drawing me to that, literally to the space. So have a think about what is what lyrics or what songs are attracting you at the moment. What is that perhaps saying about your life at the moment as well? So that's something to think about. Any thoughts for you? Did you have anything different on yours?
I had creativity.
Oh, I like that.
And crafting.
And that gives you that mindful space, I suppose.
Yeah.
To get your thoughts. I like that. Nice. What sorts of things do you create?
I do cross stitch.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Excellent. That's such a talent. I wouldn't have the patience to sit and do that.
Really talented, just following a pattern.
Yeah, that's I couldn't sit that still. And that's, and that's the good thing, is I recognise that and I'm fine with that. I don't beat myself up. I can't do it. I find other ways that allow me that stillness. So that's great though. Brilliant.
I've not crafted for ages. I used to do loads, but time has become a bit of a gremlin for me on that front. But I put, so time with family for me is the thing. So just spending time with, especially with Edith, because she's a bit of a nutter. Bless her. She just properly just brings me back to where I need to be.
Yeah.
And I actually put sometimes just having a cry.
Yeah.
It's
release the emotion. Yeah.
Just need to do it. So and I probably don't do that enough. I did like that question though. What's it like to be on the receiving end of me? I think that's quite an interesting one to go back and have a look at. I think
it's quite interesting.
He often talks about me being like my mum. So which I don't think necessarily is a bad thing, but I also know that sometimes it's not a good thing either. So so that's an interesting one.
I think especially, if you're in conflict with someone or disagreement with someone, you don't necessarily realise how you're necessarily behaving, and to be able to talk that through, or be going through difficulty or whatever, to understand what that's like can be really, really helpful as well. In all situations, work, home, play, everything. So it's a really powerful question I came across, and I really love it. And it really makes me think about how I am and how I behave. So, okay. So the next one is mental/intellectual. So I had no electronic items, ! Which was my first one, in the sense of, our prefrontal cortex is on the go all the time. It's still looking for saber-toothed tigers. Also, we get a lot of those in Hampshire, so we have to be careful. But it's about the fact that we rely so much on electronic items, and we don't allow ourselves to come off and re-energize ourselves so that we can keep going, especially if we're at work, we're tapping away on the computer or whatever. So much of our time is spent with that. So for me, that was the first one. The second one again was nature, just because I recognise that really literally recharges me. Exercise. The next one I had was communities of practice. So I learn to recharge my energy for intellect and mental capacity through being with other people. So this is almost a community of practice in itself. This whole program is that we will learn from each other. So I will re-energize, because we'll learn new things, we'll share things with each other, as we already have done this morning. Sleep again for me. And then the other two were TED Talks, because I find those really helpful, and BorrowBox as well. So BorrowBox is a free app you can get on your phone, which syncs you up to your local library for free. And then you can download audiobooks and books to read for free. You can have 5 of each at any one time. So and for me, I find it very hard to just sit and read, but I can listen to audiobooks in the car, and when I'm gardening, cleaning, and everything else. So again, that for me is a great compromise. So I'm going to give you guys a moment to think about what your contribution should be in the mental one, because time has escaped us. So I'm going to end this call and we'll jump straight back in again to do the second half. Is that okay?
Yep.
So I will see you in 2.